My name is saunakadas, and by my family, I'm known as Junior. This is the rooftop garden. The plants you might not be able to identify. The most familiar plant that one can identify with in this area, this is the jumbo plant. It's a fruit given off and people eat it, and in June it's very good for your liver, the fruit. And of course, this is the tulsi plant, and another one, or the holy basil as people call it. They found the holy basil on the mount where Christ was crucified. Yeah, so neem, this holy basil, that holy basil, and they give off oxygen. The holy basil gives off oxygen all the time. There are other plants here. This is the papaya plant. The papaya plant, if you eat the leaf in the time that there's dengue, it helps to not get sick from the mosquito biting you. So, and then we got a snake plant over here. It gives off oxygen all the time. Okay. And of course we got plenty of aloe vera. And another tree, very famous tree, is the peepal tree. This time of the year, peepal tree is not growing. And this is what they call Von Tulsi, because it doesn't die during the winter time. And it's even growing during this time. And this is the curry leaf. You eat curry leaf, a lot of curry leaf, you have very good eyesight. Helps with the eyesight. There's so many things here. I just thought I'd show the background here. This is actually a banyan tree growing. Some more, yeah. Well, if you make it through this, we'll get to the subject matter in just 1 second here. With this machine, you don't see who you're actually talking to. So, I just hope I can connect with the audience, make myself understood. I want to make myself understood and connect with the audience. Okay. Subject matter is existence, and how, existence meaning life. But I exist. That is not a earth, water. Existence isn't earth, water, and all the ingredients and all the atoms. That's not existence. Existence is beyond that. But we identify with all that as existence. So let's try to get beyond that conception. Because our existence already has the ability to see, ability to smell, ability taste, ability to feel, the ability to hear. All five are within our existence. If I would say soul, then maybe some people would turn me off and not listen. So we're just saying existence. Existence. So if one just sits a moment even and thinks deeply on what is the most important thing for that person, and that is existence. I want to exist. And of course I want others to know I exist. So I interact with other people. So I'm thinking existence is a head, hands, feet, stomach. I'm thinking this in this way. So let's take an example. It's gross, but it's observable. An example that's observable. And that example is, if I was to cut my head off, even if without my head, that means you can't hear, you can't taste, you can't smell, right? And you can feel. Yeah. The feel is there. Only hearing, tasting, seeing, and smelling are gone. 4 of them are gone. But feeling is still there. Why? Because feeling is all over this body. I can touch it, and you can touch someplace in your own body, and you can't do it at the same time. Is my hand feeling my finger, or is my finger feeling my hand? Switching back and forth, you have to do to see which one's which. But this feeling is separate from this feeling. They're separate. They're not together. One goes up one way, one goes up another way. They're separate. They're not a combination, only feeling and that's it. No, it's not like that. So I cut the head off. Now, seeing, smelling, tasting, and hearing are not able to come out. They have no ability to manifest and to come out. Yet, because of my existence, I still have the desire. 4 of the 5 senses are gone, and still I have that desire. This is a great eye-opener, because you actually want to do this without losing your head. But this is one of the greatest eye-openers. One comes to the point, I still exist. My existence is beyond my tasting, smelling, hearing, and seeing through this. I still want to do it. I still desire to do it. Once, if you cut a chicken's head off, it still moves. And it wants to walk, it wants to eat, it wants everything still. But its head is gone. The same way with me. Off with the head, I will still want to do all those functions. And have the power to be able to do all those functions and not lose all those functions. So, when one comes to the observance, of existence, this enlightenment, this feeling that I exist without all that. And all I want to do is leave this machine, this body, and go where I can project myself through another body, because I exist. So that existing, it can be measured like if somebody drowns. After a while, the body floats, not right away. So the heaviness, my existence has heaviness. It keeps me down. As soon as that existence is really gone, up I come. And they've also measured that something must be coming out because a weight change is there in the person. A minute weight change, but it's still measurable. In that instance, the body becomes lighter when you leave. So that's proven. Now, I want to find that existence. I want to find, because I can see that everything around me, all my senses up here, are becoming or diminishing. They are disappearing. They're not functioning in the same way. So I have a strong desire to exist. Everybody has a strong desire to exist. So I want to find that existence before I leave this. At least I want to understand that existence before I leave this, and not be fearful. Your head's off. The person is very fearful at first. At first. I've never lobbed my head off, so I can't tell you for sure. But at first, fear comes in. But then, when you realize that you still have existence, the fear is gone. Now it's just a matter of changing from one place to another. And that is what is happening. Now, what is that existence? It's so hard to measure. We always point to the heart region. Automatically, we point to the heart region. Now, I'm saying heart region. I'm not saying the heart, but I'm saying the heart region. But we also know that the most protected part of the whole body is where the rib cage comes together and the ribs come out. Also, that is a very important part of the body. Thymus is there. The thymus is like the leader of all your immune system, you know. This is in the endocrine system. So you've even got connection right here with the endocrine system. The endocrine system, it doesn't just produce some electrical thing. It actually produces hormones. And those hormones are more productive than other things. The hormones are more productive. And even it's seen that the hormones have the ability to talk to each other. So this region here is my immune system hormone producer. Now that is a big guard of your life. That's a big guard of your life. Also, it is known that if somebody is very fearful, angry, upset, right here, it hurts. And just by moving that around and tapping it, one can get rid of the pain. So this area is incredible. And they are knowing, but they're not able to detect. They're knowing. What are they knowing? They're knowing that the pineal gland, which is up here, the retina of the pineal gland is pointing downward through a corridor. This can be measured. They have measured that it is pointing down to a corridor. They're feeling it's in the heart that the signal is coming, but actually it's coming right from here. There is a signal. They can't see the signal. They can't measure the signal. They can't reproduce the signal. But the signal is coming, and the retina, just like your eyes have retina, well, the pineal gland has a retina. The retina of the pineal gland is reacting to it. Emotions, heavy emotions, can make the pineal gland react and send it in. Heavy emotions from the heart region, like the fear, the great happiness, all heavy emotions from this area can react with the pineal gland. They can measure it, but they can't reproduce it because they don't know the frequency. They don't know what it's made of, how it's produced, where it's coming from. They just know it's in this region. This is where your existence is. From here, your existence has gone out to this whole body. That is what actually everybody is looking for. What is my existence? What am I? Nothing else is more important than existence. And to be assured of existence without this body is the greatest reward. The greatest reward is to know, to be reassured, without this body you can still exist. And that doesn't mean we're in three-dimensional, and we're captured in the three-dimensional, and we're using three-dimensional detectors. These are three-dimensional detectors, all in the three-dimensional sphere. But even if we lose this, and we're in the two-dimensional, that is not your existence. That still is not your existence. You could say the ghost-like people, or anything like this, or actually that's the quantum stage. You could say something like that, but that still isn't your dimension, because that can be measured. The two-dimensional can be measured. The intellectual can function in the two-dimensional. We have a two-dimension right now because we use our intellect. So my intellect is superior to three dimensions. It's superior. It is not bound so much. My three-dimension is bound. I can't walk very far. I can't see very far. I can't smell very far. I can't hear very far. It's all bound in three-dimension. Two-dimension, you have more of a sphere to go. You can go other places. In other words, the two-dimensional is some benefit to it, but existence is not observed by the person, his existence. Still, there is some capturing by the subtle, some diversion. So then the intellect, above the intellect, the mind. The mind is the simplest, just yes and no, but still it's observing. Still it's captured. And still it cannot go that far. Far mean into a realm where this exists, where you exist, a realm. That realm is here with you. You exist in that realm. I have a realm that is non-dimensional. I'm sitting here in a non-dimensional realm. And that non-dimensional realm, it can, and it does, rule over the mind, the one dimension, the intelligence, the two dimension, and of course the three dimensional. It rules over. It motivates them. There's no use just to get rid of the three-dimensional without getting rid of the two-dimensional, without getting rid of the one-dimensional, and coming to what is existence. That is existence. I hope this motivates persons so they have a desire to actually know who they really are. This signal given to the pineal gland, the only thing they can say, it's projected. It's projected vision, projected hearing, projected smelling, projected feeling, projected tasting. All this is able to be shown because the retina of the pineal gland. It's also projected emotions. So everything is being projected from here. Analyzed up here, and many times when it's analyzed up here, it's lessened. The intelligence can't deal with it, the mind can't deal with it, the senses can't feel it, so it's lessened. So you're lessened in the three-dimensional, you're a little bit better in the two-dimensional, you're still in the dimensions, and then in the one dimension. But away from that dimensional existence is what Einstein wanted. He died sad, and everybody asked why, and he says, I wasn't looking for relative laws, wasn't looking for quantum theories, wasn't looking for entanglements. These are the negative things that have bound the person here. So what was he looking for? He says, I wanted to know time. Time. Well then, what's going on? In the mind, what is called the time factor is there. The mind is faster than the intelligence. So the movement in the mind is so much faster than the intelligence. Then, in a more gross stage, the intelligence, right? Now we're going to the intelligence. Even though it's in this body, it's moving at a different speed. It has a different time factor. And earth, water, fire, air, ether, they are all the gross ones. They move in even a different time factor. We're more than 90% only interested in the speed of the time factor. So, who governs the time factor? The sun governs the time factor. The rising and setting of that sun is regulating my time factor in this three-dimensional sphere, but not in the two-dimensional sphere and not in the one-dimensional sphere. So in this body, and it's detected. It can be calculated, detected. The speed can be seen. That can be detected. More when there's no time factor. Because the time factor of the mind, the time factor of the intelligence, the time factor of the body, they don't have existence if it wasn't for time itself. Time itself is the most important, and time itself is my existence. Time itself is eternity. It isn't a change. It lives in a different sphere. But because we're from there, we manifest a minute particle of that sphere right here. Right here I'm manifesting a minute particle. And that minute particle that can't even be detected is what is seen when the retina of the pineal gland is changing. For me to know or be presented, I have to be grateful to scientists that actually want to look for something beyond and that tell the truth. Many scientists don't want to tell the truth because they're not going to get their funding. If they tell the truth about anything, then they won't get their funding. They want to make a huge computer and everything that can do everything that this is doing. It can never be done because they can't get from here to here. They can go from here all the way through and everybody, but they can't get from here to here. They can't move it. They can't understand what's going on from here to here. Can't measure it, only can see when it's reacting with the pineal gland. And they can measure the reaction of the pineal gland to know if it's emotions, to know what state that it's in. I hope it inspires someone. And if someone wants to tell me more so I can understand it even more, because I want to find my existence before this becomes garbage. This will be just made into ashes. It may be buried in the ground and the worms can eat it. It may not even have the ability, and the dogs can eat it or the worms can eat it. Everything, Before this vanishes, I want to understand my existence and get a grasp on it. But only, yes, somebody in the three-dimensional can help you. Someone very much in the two-dimensional can help you know something. On the one-dimensional, they can help you know even higher. But all of them, the three-dimension, two-dimension, one-dimension, they cannot tell you about the no dimension because they can't enter it. Only that which is in that no dimensional space. And it's logical. If there's dimensions, then there must be a place with no dimensions. If there's time, there must be time factor, and there must be just pure time. It must be there. So it's a very logical thing that Einstein was looking for. Time. I want to know time. So I just stop right there. And I'll leave my email. You can write me directly. You can make a comment on the thing. You can share. You can push the like or don't like so I know what's happening. Yeah. But I hope it inspires. You don't have to be religious to know that your existence is not on these planes. It's not on these planes because I can feel existence without these planes. they depend on that plane that I am actually on. I inspire the one dimension because I use it. I inspire the two dimension. I inspire the three dimension. If it wasn't for all of us, this would not be manifested. So they depend on inspiration that I and everybody and everything is giving to the one dimension, two dimension, three dimension. They depend on it. Not that this here doesn't depend on it, but I am not in the knowledge, so I think that this depends and this depends on the three dimension. Oh, it's super no. Yeah, it's something we should get out of our minds easily, even if it's just scientifically, even if you just want to sit and ponder it and try to understand it. It's not Mind Valley. Mind Valley has not got you out of anything. And you can't enter Mind Valley. When you're in the three-dimensional, you can't enter the two-dimensional. And even those great scientists that are studying it, the two-dimensional, they say that there must be different personalities existing in the two-dimensional because they know it exists. And it has all the functions that the three-dimensional has, but only in two-dimension. But they said one thing that was really important. They said that the two-dimension measurement of yes and no and right and wrong is different than the three-dimension of measurement. So the measurement of the two-dimension is there, but they can't probe into it. They can get their quantum computer billions of dollars and they cannot edge right in there because they're using three-dimension to go into two-dimension, and two-dimension is superior to them. So they can't find how to program their computer right, wrong, yes, no, and that's important. That's how we make our decisions. That's our mind working. So I just think that the conclusion they came up with, to be able to know right and wrong in the two-dimension, you must be fully in the two-dimension. And to be fully in the two-dimension, you give up the three-dimension and you cannot return. So they said we're in a standstill. We cannot understand the two-dimension. And what to speak of the one-dimension. And existence itself, they cannot. So what's the use of a huge $1 billion computers and everything, and they can't even get that far? I'll say, okay, I should stop here, and I hope someone liked it. Yeah, let's get back to the garden. Garden's better than what I speak of because it's only my illusion. I'm speaking of I'm describing, speaking, feeling, seeing my illusion. Such a magical thing. And we're all bound in it. An incredible, deeply bound situation in a three-dimensional sphere when there's plenty of people in the two-dimensional sphere and plenty of people in the one-dimensional sphere. There is existence just as you see it right here and now before you. It's even measurable. To understand time factor. Time factor is, let's take one atom. Now we have two atoms. So that's a pair of atoms. Now if we take three pairs of atoms and we combine them, the amount of time for three pairs of atoms to combine is judged by your time factor. So my time factor in this 3-dimension is very fast. It's only 24 hours. So my 6 months is equal to 1 day. 1 day of those persons in the 2-dimensional. 6 months of mine is equal to 1 day. Why? Because their combination, their time factor, the ability of 3 double atoms to combine, their time factor is slower. Yeah, almost the opposite, huh? It's slower. It's prolonged. And in the 1-dimensional even more. But the 2-dimensional, they have come up with 1 day, or 1 day of theirs in the 2-dimensional is equal to 6 months of ours. You know, just living right now, you know that there's different dimensions. At least we can measure even the time. So space, for the space of travel and everything, that is in what you would call the 2-dimensional. The space is in the 2-dimensional. You would expect it to be faster, but no. You don't want it faster. You want it slower. Life is prolonged by it being slower, not by it being faster. So the combinations of the atoms is very much slower in the 2-dimension. In the 1-dimension, so much slower. So what are we getting into? Slower, 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 until we hit infinity, where it doesn't change. Can you grab the concept? Yes, my 3-dimensional sphere is 24 hours. And that multiplied by 6 months, 90 days, no, 90 days, no, 180 days. 180 days is 1 day of theirs. So the next jump to the 2-dimensional is even more slow. And then in the 1-dimensional, it's even slower. Yes, it's slower. And then in the no-dimensional, it's infinity. Just by that observance, one can understand that infinity, if you talk about eternal time, oh, I want to enter eternal time, everybody's going to say, oh, he's religious. Well, you know what? The guy that's trying to criticize me, he wants it too, you know. Why criticize the person that is trying to look for existence, trying to look for eternity? No, you don't criticize, you figure out how to use it. Yeah. It's actually a very laughing matter when somebody doesn't believe in eternity. It's a laughing matter. Yeah, I don't have eternal existence. Yeah, well then why are you fighting so much just for existing now? And why do you desire so much not to leave this existence? No. The conception's not right. And it's proven not to be right. Because in the quantum sphere, the these quantum computers have to work in that sphere, and that sphere is the two-dimension. They're trying to duplicate the two-dimension without being in the two-dimension. Impossible. Impossible. So that one scientist, he just said, you know, we have to go to the two-dimension. We have to enter that two-dimension, and then we will know what it's like. But, you know, come on, don't get carried away. Why don't you get into the one dimension? Why don't you get into the zero dimension? Zero. Zero is the only number that you multiply something with, and it becomes zero. It eats it up. And you divide something with, and it eats up also. So on both sides, it's containing and it's manifesting. It's containing and it's manifesting. Zero. Zero was very much disliked by the Romans. So much disliked. So much disliked. They feared the zero and its abilities. But zero contains everything. And it gives us the ability to use our number system. Without the zero, it'd be very difficult to multiply, to divide. Very difficult. Put a 1 in front of it and multiply, and you've got so much. But what is zero? It's infinity. It's eternality. We're using it all the time. It's there with us. Also, we're using this to do something. We're using it. And we don't observe it. No. Impractical. Yes. Impractical. Totally impractical.